In Forsaken, you are capable of playing as 10 different survivors, all with their own unique abilities attached to their own unique identities, each one of them exciting in their own way, able to completely switch up the game. Like how Shidletsky can stun the killer, stopping them dead in their tracks, or how 007 and 7 can create duplicates of himself to trick the killer, or how Dusakar can protect one of their allies with a barrier so long as distance is kept from the killer, or with the power of working as a team, absolutely nothing can stop you. Doesn't it make you angry? Aren't you riddled with spite? When your team lets you down, when they turn you into a fool, what will there be left of you? Look at yourself, keeled over like a pathetic poodle. So, that's it. You give up? No, you're better than that. You know what you have to do. You will show them hate. Hey, that wasn't very cool, dude. Well, anyways, 1x1x1x. Dude, how do you say the full name with a straight face? Is one of the 4 killers in Forsaken that you can play as. He is a ranged-based killer, with his objective as the killer to stand alone as the primary threat of the game. No teammates to work with, and no teammates you'll ever need to work with. Just you and your blade, ready to pay retribution, or something like that. Now, fundamentally, killer gameplay is very different to survivor gameplay. Your abilities have a lot more weighing power than what small tricks that survivors can pull off, with generally lower cooldown times and one ability unanimous to all killers, this being Slash, a simple swing at the enemy which will deal 20 damage on hit. But because 1x is corrupted and evil, every swing will also apply Poison 1 and Glitched 1 for 5 seconds. The poison will deal additional damage over time, and Glitched will cover your screen in these inverted squares that rapidly flicker all over your screen, obscuring your view temporarily. This makes 1x quite a deadly threat, as the moment you're hit, not only do you suffer extra damage over time, but you can't see— Alright, that's annoying. Glitched also makes your target more susceptible to damage, just like weakness does, meaning they take more damage after every consecutive hit. This also means that Glitch can bypass resistance stacks like Dusakar's shield. Epilepsy mode won't save you from that. Obviously though, aggressively clicking with your mouse doesn't exactly make for exciting gameplay, which is why 1x's second ability begins to make the whole ranged part of him make a lot more sense. Mass Infection is an ability which forces 1x to stay in place, as he makes a rattlesnake hissing sound before protruding a massive green shockwave. This shockwave will deal 35 damage to anyone who steps close in its warpath. And just like Slash, will also inflict the target with Glitched 1 and Poison 1 for 5 seconds. Because remember, 1x is corrupted and evil. The hissing sound that plays right before the shockwave is thrown is very loud, and essentially announces to the entire lobby that you're about to hit the nastiest clip of your life. To which most people take this advice to heart, and actually start moving around to make themselves less predictable. To those who have no game sense though, well, they're the ones truly facing the brunt force of this maneuver. However, one ranged ability isn't enough for the guy who primarily wields melee weapons, obviously. That's why 1x has Entanglement. This ability will cause 1x to throw out his swords. Anything you catch with it will be forced to stop moving before they have to play a minigame of closing out all the newsletters you just gave them. Only then, once they've blocked your email account, do they get to resume moving. However, by the time they're done with that, you'll already have caught up as 1x gains speed 2 for 2 seconds the moment the entanglement lands. Unless they're an OSU veteran, let me have this! Entanglement will serve as your best friend throughout your games, as the rate at which the projectile travels and the wind-up to it is far faster and harder to react to than this beefy noise machine, typically meant for chaining and being able to pull off free hits. For 1x's fourth ability, you have the option to rip out your eye. This will cause you to go blind. Okay, well, you also get a highlight on every survivor and speed 1 for 6.5 seconds, but I mean, come on, I don't need the game to remind me of my real-life vision. With this ability, you can either use it to A. Discover where the survivors are currently located, or B. I'm gonna get you! I'm gonna kill you! I'm gonna kill you! Either use is perfectly valid, and I'm sure the blindness 3 won't end up hurting more than helping. As 1x's final ability, upon killing a single survivor, you are able to rejuvenate the rotten. This will cause every single survivor you kill to have a minion emerge approach from the location they died. If a survivor stumbles upon one, they will immediately become aggressive and begin targeting them until the survivor leaves the range of 50 studs. The minions themselves only deal a measly 14 damage, with even a more pathetic 10 HP, which makes them easily killable by all sentinels. But remember, all these minions are the reborn version of the survivor, which means in essence, they're still survivors. And you hate survivors. Which is why, that's right, you can kill those bastards again! Upon slaying one of your minions, 1x receives speed 1 for 10 seconds, kill another, and you get speed 2 with the timer resetting. One more time, and I get messages from the star. You must be from another galaxy. Yeah, 1x having speed 3 is pretty nuts, but did you know you can also stack this speed with any other ability that grants you speed? That means Unstable Eye and Entanglement will both grant you the stacked speed with the minion speed respectively. It is a bit buggy though, as your timer will end abruptly if you use these abilities before you kill a minion. Hell, even Mass Infection can interact with this, as technically these two boxes count as separate hitboxes, which technically means you hit the minion twice, which would also mean you technically would be granted speed 1 twice, which would also grant speed. Okay, listen, you just get speed 2 if you do that. Alright. That is a lot to process, and it's not a surprise why. After all, 1x is the only killer with 5 abilities, and the game itself acknowledges its complexity with a 5-star difficulty rating. But here, look, I'll do you a solid. I'll summarize 1x gameplay in just 30 seconds. Don't think, just kill. I hate skis. What was that, guest? That's right, die for trying to be useful, guest. And that's right, get snipe for being useful, Taff. And that's right, get bullied for being useless, too. God, I just hate skis. I hate them all. Get entangled. I'll kill you right here, right now. Keep killing! Kill! Okay. Look, this is a bit more glamorous than what actually meets the eye. I mean, sure, you can brute force your kills by just ramming your head into everybody, and depending on the lobby, it'll probably work. But let me guess, the only reason you wouldn't want to play 1x is because of this little thing you have to do every single time you try to use Entanglement or Mass Infection. Yeah, I know. Your aim is dog shit. Look, it's nothing to be shy about, and nothing we can't fix either. Aiming with 1x is a bit of an anomaly, and actually more so comes down to your target skill of taking action to avoid your projectiles. For example, here I'm getting the easiest picks of my life. Most of my targets are simply walking in a straight line, and all you have to do in this instance is aim your projectile where you think they'll be headed. Simple as. In fact, I'm practically landing all of my projectiles here, as the entire lobby seems to enter a trance of predictable movement when I begin winding up my attacks. But then, only then, this Taff enters the equation. I throw out my Entanglement. I miss. I throw out my Mass Infection. I miss. I throw out my Entanglement. I miss. I throw out my... Alright, you get the point. Every single projectile I throw at this guy, I miss like I'm trying to swat a damn fly. The only way I managed to actually kill this bastard is by using the killer's innate higher speed and stamina regen to slowly gain distance on him until he's caught without stamina right next to me. If I left this Taff for last man standing, that would not slide. In fact, I do leave a Taff for last man standing. And do you know what happens? I get my ass looped with no remorse and I lose. In reality, it isn't about how well you can aim, but it's more so about knowing your target. If it seems like a specific few survivors are actually reacting to your projectiles, then you've got quite the case on your hands. The same logic works inversely. When the survivor is assessing you, they'll see how you aim, the general direction you're looking at, and then react accordingly. This is why you need to have an aneurysm. Simply hit every single movement key on your keyboard and flaunt your luscious hair that they get distracted enough, and then snap right back at them. Just make sure it doesn't backfire, as confusing yourself more than you've confused the enemy won't do you any good. Alternatively, you can conceal yourself behind a wall to make sure they can't see where you're aiming. This works better with Entanglement, as it has no sound cue, unless you're using the Yapatron skin. So long as you have enough intuition to know where they're headed or visuals on their location, this is guaranteed. Or maybe we can just be a total liability to every single person in the lobby, rapidly switching targets to gently remind the survivors that they aren't safe no matter where they are. Unless you're on Yorick's resting place. Still, no matter the method you use, aiming is something you naturally get better with over time. The only game you're playing being cognitive function roulette. Will they understand that a loud hissing noise being played while a 1x is right next to them may require immediate evasive maneuverability? Hey, who knows? Oh, you still don't want to aim? Well, alright, you do always have your minions to do the work for you, so just use them. Chase survivors into areas where your minion is stood, and then just watch. They'll have to constantly be sprinting, but they'll also be so terribly worried over your presence. They don't know when you'll strike, and they'll exhaust themselves as your minions do the work for you. Watch them squirm. Watch them helplessly struggle. Get in their own mind as to when you'll attack, before it becomes a matter of if you'll attack. All while you just watch. But if you're going to keep an eye out for who you're pitting yourself against, you'll also need to keep an eye out for the type of character they're playing. It's obvious. We've all heard it before. You got the survivalists, you got the sentinels, and the supports. Starting with the supports, as 1x, you don't really struggle with buildermen. Look, sure, sentries are annoying, and so are dispensers, but you have ranged abilities to avoid ever having to get near the sentry. Or hell, why not approach a sentry and then use mass infection next to it, while aiming at a nearby survivor. That way, you get a 2-for-1 special. Okay, well, this is just pissing me off. This is the 4th sentry in a row. Holy! Elliotts will always prove themselves to be quite the nuisance, as they directly undo all the precious progress you've made to removing a survivor from the match. Now, I know what you're thinking. Target the Elliotts. I know, it's tempting, but stop for a second and hear me out. You're playing 1x. You benefit from predictability. What is more predictable than a delicious pizza laying on the floor completely uneaten? That's right, you can turn pizzas into their own little traps as survivors end up losing more HP than they've gained simply by trying to go for it. But you should still definitely execute Elliotts whenever you can. Dusakar is the weakest to 1x. Being forced to stand still while protecting someone basically makes you a target begging to be entangled. So if they happen to be nearby, well, entangle them. Now, if you're quick enough, you'll also be able to use your entanglement to chain with mass infection. This will deal a whopping 58 damage and will even be registered by the game as landing mass infection up close. This is also useful outside of fighting Dusakars, but since Dusakars want to have a death wish so badly, this'll put them to bed real quick. Now, I don't know what it is about Taff, but the problem doesn't really come from his abilities. No, it's more so about the people who play Taff. Is it really a coincidence that I've gotten looped to absolute hell and back by exclusively Taffs? It's like they know something I don't. Or maybe they have some sort of advantage over us commoners. Okay, hear me out. I think I know why. The moment you hit milestone 4 on Taff, you are immediately inducted by the Council of Taff, who take you in as one of their disciples. Their mission? Subtly destroy your mental psyche from the inside out. At first, small tripwires, then trip mines, then once you're fed up with them, their sleeper agent kicks in and they begin to loop you. I mean, look at that movement. It's like an AI. They simply pathfind. It's a hive mind. They act together, strike in silence, and where are the fools being strung along? You have to listen to me. They know what they're doing. This is no coincidence. This is the 4th tap in a row. Survivalists. I'll be honest. I thought noob would be more of a problem. But aside from their Bloxy Colas, Ghostburger's cooldown is long enough that if you tear your eye roughly a short while after Last Man Standing begins, you basically find their location anyways. Slateskin never ends up well in their favor. In fact, Slateskin is so terrible that it literally makes themselves an easier target if you simply slash twice and then entangle. Their protection runs out and now they're just free fodder. Still, you shouldn't underestimate noobs in general, so when you're given a split-second decision between who to chase, probably go for the one with a skin that looks like they've got at least a couple hundred hours under their belt. N7, on the other hand, is a bit more of a problem. You see, if the N7 is attentive enough, they can use their clone ability exclusively when you eye tear. Then, with your blindness 3 paired up against their invisibility 4, yeah, you can consider that N7 across the globe now. On top of this, the N7 has the option to teleport across the map if they're already across the map, which means by the time you're done traversing the map, they'll be gone. So, what what do? Well, conveniently enough, the game has a measure in place where if you are not within 150 studs of a survivor, your stamina meter will not deplete. This means you can actually use the system to begin tracking the whereabouts of the N7 like a sonar. Your stamina suddenly just stopped depleting when you traverse, pivot a 180, for they've just teleported across the entire map. This and your minions will especially be useful in exposing their location if you suddenly see one chasing something. Or the inverse, stop chasing, meaning they've just popped their clone. So yes, this would serve itself as a bit of a challenge, but also don't be shocked when the survivalist based on trickery left you in the dust dumbfounded. Sentinels will kick your ass. Well, probably. Guest 1337 having a unique interaction with you, that being blocking right when you're about to attack. Since the wind-up of your slash is the second slowest of all the killers, some guests can even react to you rather than predict, essentially rendering every attack you do against them as a free block, which is why you have to pressure them until they crack. Test the resolve. See what it takes for them to fold. Stare into their very soul, and only then will they finally block out of anticipation, and only then will you be able to punish their ineptitude. You could also just use a projectile right next to them. I'm gonna be so for real, this works 99% of the time. Chances, on the other hand, don't give a shit what you do. They're just gonna shoot you. And let me tell you, those bullets hurt. It'll feel like an eternity that you've been stunned for, and most of the time, you won't even ever have seen it coming. But if you do see it coming, all it really takes is for the chance to begin the wind-up of their gun animation, then you take a step in the opposite direction, that way they miss their shot entirely. They could also, just do your job for you. Two time isn't even that difficult to deal with. Just respect your corners, turn around every so often, or just outright stop moving. Like, look at that. Humiliating, really. How do people even fall for trick stabs anyway? Finally, you have Sorry. Something hateful stirs within me every single time I mention it. All of these other survivors, yes, I hate them as well, but you, no, you
were never one of us. You were nothing but a usurper, a false idol. My eyes have been opened. Let me help you to see, Slayer.
Hi, I'm your buddy.
Okay, look, I expected Shedletskis to be a bigger problem for 1x, since, they're mortal enemies through and through, but, that's just not the case. I mean, look at Cool Kid at N7. N7 directly counters Cool Kid because he doesn't have any abilities to highlight survivors. Really fits their whole motif, But then you have Shedletsky, who waves his little toothpick around, and I mean, come on, this isn't even a close fight. I just win this round, and I win this round, and I win this one, and I could just keep showing you clips where I keep winning, but at a certain point, it just gets redundant, doesn't it? Uh-oh, he actually got away. Well, I guess that's what you get for leaving the guy who has the 100,000 credit skin for last. But you know what? This isn't a problem with just Shedletskis. I feel like this is a problem with all survivors across the board. I just kind of win often, but I had to be 100% sure. 100% sure that I wasn't just playing against new players. So, I did what every other reasonable person would do in this situation. Every single clip I just showed you, up until this point, is picked out from the 100 killer games in a row that I played in just about 2 days straight. I did this by playing everybody's favorite character 2 times. Noob! And doing nothing but generators. I even got them to milestone 4. The results? Victory after victory after victory. And it's not like I was just sticking around in new player lobbies either. I swapped servers every 2 killer matches to truly simulate how it would have felt playing the game organically. And after the 100 games were done, I calculated my losses to wins, and well, let me just show you. That's right, 4 losses, 96 wins. And here, I'll do you one better. I'll review the reasoning behind every single one of my losses. This Taff was pretty good at looping me, so I took up the challenge, left them for last, and wanted to see them if I could beat them during LMS. Same deal here. Taff was looping me, wanted to see if I could beat them during LMS. Golden Shed from earlier. Knew he was gonna be difficult, so I left him for last to see if I could do it. Yeah, you see the pattern here? There was only one lobby that was truly stacked with all competent players. During that game, I decided to spare this Taff, and and promptly ate shit for it. I got what I deserved. But in the same lobby, I extended no sympathy and, well, I won. So yes, I did lose and they played well, but in reality, you as the killer can choose which situations you put yourself into. I purposefully decided to take the challenge with most of these players, and I'm also playing the killer with the highest difficulty rating in the game. It makes sense. It certainly begs the question, how is it possible that I won so many games so easily? I mean, surely it can't all just come down to me being extremely good at the game. Well, there is a reason. It wasn't always like this. Let's go back a bit. March 12th, 2025. A leak of patch notes gets released in the Forsaken server. Jason raging pace cooldown decreased, okay. Jason base speed increased, okay. More Jason buffs, sure. Buffed every killer stamina gain from 20 to 21. And right below that, buffed every killer stamina drain from 10 to 9.5. Beforehand, killers were already getting buffed with their base run speed and walk speed being increased. But this was the final nail in the coffin. No matter what you did, killers would inevitably catch up with you without even needing to use their abilities that often. So now, without meticulously planning every single ability to go your way with your chosen survivor, which would only give you a slight edge, winning against a killer with half a brain became harder than ever. Looping itself became harder than ever. And that's it. It was over. Forsaken became a killer-sided, unbalanced mess. But maybe that's not a bad thing. While I would say that winning killer games has been easier than ever, I would also say that not everybody wants to be so competitive. And I understand for the lot of you, most of you are pretty casual. Before the killer buffs, I cannot recall to you how many times my friends would crash out as they painstakingly failed to even score one kill. And to be honest, that outcome was worse. Waiting all that time to finally be the killer, only to be eaten alive by the 5 sentinels in your match. So look, if these buffs means Lil Timmy 994 gets to try out his newly purchased killer and he gets to have fun even getting just a couple of kills, then maybe it's worth it. Maybe just this once, everything doesn't have to be veiled with so much hatred when we're all here just to have fun. Now, if you're not hateful, you'll subscribe. Thank you for making it to the end. It took me a while to really figure out what I wanted to say about killer gameplay, and truthfully speaking, there's still a lot I haven't touched on. Anyways, that's all. Ciao ciao.